Hey guys, welcome back to another Helix video. I want to do a quick follow-up on the Trainwreck amp model video I put out yesterday. Chad Boston, who basically created and manages the Helix Facebook group with over 10,000 members, and then has most recently started a forum, the Friendly Gear Freaks, as well, suggested that I try out his what he's calling his OTB method of preset or cab emulation, which is basically a parametric EQ, OTB standing for outside the box. So it basically, in a nutshell, is using a parametric EQ to simulate a cab without using a cab block or an IR block. Because essentially, you know, a cabinet emulation or an IR is to some degree just an equalizer filter. So it makes sense that you theoretically could easily, well, I don't know about easily, but theoretically you could mimic that with the right EQ settings. So that is what he has done. And it's gotten, a lot of folks have really been enjoying trying this method out. One quick advantage is if you like this method, the EQ block uses way less DSP than a cab or an IR block. So, you know, it really would free up a lot of processing power. If you like the sound of this, can save you a lot of time and trouble. So anyway, let me get right into it. So what I've got is the cab block that I used yesterday to make this patch, 2x12 matchless, 4x12 greenback with 25 watt Celestians, and then it's Chad's OTB EQ block. The only thing I did, I pulled the mid-range down to about 2.8. I think it was a little over 5, and just a little more mid-range than what I was looking for. So what I've also done is assigned a foot switch to toggle these. So when you see the cab block illuminated, you're hearing the cab modeling. When the EQ block is lit up, you're hearing Chad's cab block. So, or cab emulation. So I'm going to do a quick A/B and let you hear the differences, and then I'm going to show you another way of running this that I actually ended up preferring quite a lot, which is really cool. I've heard others talk about it, which is a kind of a parallel setup, but I'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to play a little bit. This is basically a Les Paul humbucker bridge sound. I'm just going to hit some chords and a couple licks, and you'll see me flip back and forth between the two. So here we go. So you can hear the differences. That, you know, I used the exact cab blocks or cab block with the cab models that I used yesterday. So I wasn't trying to match the tone of what his EQ was going to sound like. So obviously they sound quite different. So in that sense, that really is just going to come down to preference. Some of you may like the sound of the cab better. Some may like the sound of the EQ block. My own thoughts on it are, you know, the cab block sounds, and it's always hard to describe sounds with, you know, what we hear and put it into words and have it be meaningful at all. But I guess to my ears, the cab block sounds a little more kind of quote unquote like a finished guitar tone, like something I'd hear from from a recorded guitar sound. I do think the EQ block is a little more kind of in your face, maybe a little more aggressive sounding. And to me, the cab block is maybe a little smoother. So anyway, like I said, it just really, in that regard, it's just going to come down to which one you prefer. Because, you know, you can go into the cab block in Helix and find any number of different tones that, I mean, you can, you know, here's all these different cabs. So, it's next to impossible to compare this one EQ setting to a cab or an IR, you know, and say this one's better, because it's not. It's tone. It's subjective. So draw your own conclusions there. Now, having said all that, one of the things I wanted to show you was you can run these in parallel. And so basically what happens is the amp splits off here, and it's going to run through the cabinet and through the equalizer, and then they're going to join back up and then hit the reverb. I'm just going to play a little bit with this, let you hear it, and then I'll talk about why I like it. But first, let me play and let you hear what they sound like together. So, love the way they sound together. Absolutely love it. Essentially, what you're getting is like basically 3 cabinets. So you're getting, I have this as a dual cab block, and then, you know, Chad's EQ block, which is acting as a cab. But, you know, if you've ever done recording or mixing, what you find is that, you know, every instrument kind of has its own sonic space or that it takes up, or its sonic footprint. What I find when I put these two together is that Chad's block is adding in some of the kind of more upfront aggressiveness, maybe. Again, it's trying to describe guitar sounds is never a winning proposition, but it basically fills in some gaps in the sonic footprint of the guitar tone that I think fill it out rather nicely. So I'm pretty excited about going back and into like my workhorse patches I use all the time, and dropping this EQ block in parallel with the cabinets that I'm running, and see how I like it and how it works out, because just doing this test, I really like it. It sounds really good together. So anyway, this is definitely a video of draw your own conclusions. There's no better or worse to it. So see what you think. I'll put links to the forum, Chad's forum, down below, and links to this patch if you want to try it out, and all that good stuff. So thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe.